This is the rubber match. You have the champion, Stipe Miocic, going against the #1 contender, the former 205-pound champion, the former heavyweight champion, Daniel D.C. Cormier, at 265 pounds for the heavyweight title. Right now, these guys are 1-1 against each other. In the first round, Daniel Cormier knocked out Stipe in the first round. And in the second fight, Stipe Miocic knocked out Daniel Cormier in the 4th round. So they've had some rounds with each other at this point. They've had 5 rounds total, back and forth. They've done a full title fight. Both of them have come out on top. Really excited about it. Stipe Miocic, he is currently the champion, with him being the one to win last time. Mm-hmm. He's an American. He's 19-3, 37 years old, 6 feet 4 inches tall, 13-3 in the UFC. He did avenge 2 of those losses. One was to DC. He got the belt back. And the other one was to JDS. So he lost a decision to Junior Dos Santos, and then he came back to knock him out in the first round in their second fight, and that was a title defense for him. Mm-hmm. So if you go down to Daniel Cormier, like we said, he's the former 205-pound champion, the former 265-pound champion. Daniel Cormier, he has a record of 22 wins, 2 losses, and 1 no contest. Really, that no contest is a loss to John Jones. He lost by a head kick in round 3, but John Jones failed for steroids, and that was overturned to a no contest. Daniel Cormier, he's 41 years old. He's 5 feet 11 inches tall, and he's 10-2 in the UFC, coming off of that round 2 loss to Stipe. What do you think about this fight?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we've seen this fight twice now, right?
Yep.
What was the theme in both fights?
Eyes, fingers.
Eye pokes.
Yeah.
DC, for some reason, took a page out of John Jones' book and decided that eye pokes were the way to go.
He wants to reach for your face with his fingers out like that.
In the first fight, there was a really, really bad eye poke
before
that led to a DC knocking out Stipe.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's that. So it's kind of a tainted win. Then you look at the second fight. Even though Stipe was able to pull through and get that knockout eventually, he got poked in the eyes multiple times throughout that fight.
Yeah, and how many times did the ref warn him about that?
Throughout the whole fight. He's just keep your fingers in, keep your fingers in, keep your fingers in. And so, I mean, we're gonna see, if that's the theme in this fight as well.
Yeah.
Because the eye pokes will play a role in it. Even though Stipe was able to overcome last time, he's got to be able to overcome again because he's going to get poked in the eyes again.
Yep.
I just don't see how he doesn't get poked in the eyes again unless DC does what he says he's going to do, because he told Stipe to bring his wrestling shoes. And they are fighting in the smaller cage, which has been proven to be better for wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, it's less cutting off the distance. You get to close the distance faster. You can pressure him to the cage faster. If you're a guy who wants to circle and stay away, and actually Stipe did try to petition for the bigger cage, but they shut it down. Which, as the champion, this is one of the things that you should have a little bit of control over. In boxing, you have control over a lot of those different type of things. The gloves, different things. The refs, the judges, all sorts of different things you have a lot more control of as a fighter in boxing. Having the ability to say, hey, you know what? This is a championship fight. I want to fight in a full-size cage. That shouldn't even be a problem.
No.
Especially considering there's no fans around.
Exactly.
They just don't want to do the work to set it up or move it or transport it. And they're making millions of dollars off of this. I think it's a little bit ridiculous that small of a request couldn't be handled.
Yeah.
Especially coming from your champion.
Right.
He could choose to sit out and wait or do something different.
Yeah.
But he's fighting. So that, like you're saying, that plays into favor for Daniel Cormier.
No, and it is important to note that Stipe was a D1 wrestler as well.
Yes.
He's just not Olympic level that
he
Cormier
wrestled
was.
He wrestled in Cleveland. He wasn't an Oklahoma State guy.
No.
Like DC. So different levels. What I will say, though, this is my biggest thing going into this right now. Daniel Cormier, throughout the history of his combat sports career, he's always come up short in the biggest moments of his careers. Mm-hmm. So he beat Stipe the first time.
Yep.
He lost the last time. This may be a retirement fight for him. This is a retirement fight for him.
He already said win or lose, he's retiring after this fight.
Yeah, but how many times have fighters said that they're going to retire and then not retire or come back and retire? But so he may retire.
Luke Rockhold just came back.
Luke Rockhold, see?
But Luke Rockhold's not 41, is he?
I don't know. But, the truth is, I don't think that Daniel Cormier will want to retire with that bad taste in his mouth. But I'll get back to it. So he's lost in all those big moments. He lost in the D1 national championships to Cael Sanderson. He lost in the Olympics. He came up short there. He came up short to John Jones. And these are all like the most important things. Winning the title might be super important to him. But becoming a national champion and wrestler, one of the most important things to him. Becoming an Olympic champion, one of the most important things. You got to think he was the Olympic team captain.
Mm-hmm.
And beating John Jones, more so than winning that 205 belt, beating John Jones was probably more important to him than winning that belt.
Yeah, I think if he had a chance to fight John again, he would, just to try to get that win.
Oh, he would. He totally would. So he's fallen short in what I would say are the biggest moments of his MMA career. That might play effect into this.
Yeah, it definitely could. So, I mean, we're gonna ultimately find out again. I think if DC does win, but he pokes Stipe in the eyes again, it's gonna be a tainted win. It's gonna be another one, and he'll never be able to live it down. No one will consider him the winner of that fight if he wins via eye pokes again.
I think it would depend on how the eye poke plays into it. If it's something like the first one where the eye poke happens and then the knockout happens right after it. Yeah, if it happens like in the first round and then he knocks him out in the 5th round, you can't really blame that. Yeah. If he wins a close decision, maybe because he took that first round with an eye poke and then was able to out grapple him and
the rest of the fight.
Whatever. Things like that might take into effect, but a knockout in the 5th round after an eye poke in the first round, I would say.
It also depends, though, because if we get to the 5th round,
he
might have poked him in the eyes throughout the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. He did in that other fight.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It would have to depend. If it was something from the first round, it wouldn't matter. If it was a consecutive boom, 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 back-to-back thing, but if it's like the last one, obviously that's going to make people upset, and that's going to be tainted forever.
Yeah, I think either way, if he pokes him in the eyes again, he's never going to live that down, because that's all anybody talks about right now. If you go on any forums, go on any website, on Facebook, in the comments, anywhere, all everybody talks about is they're calling him, does Stipe bring in goggles? Does he get to wear goggles for this fight? And yada, yada, yada. That's all anybody talks about. So if it happens again, DC is never going to be able to live it down, whether it affects, in the first round or the last round.
DC's got a lot of things he's never going to be able to live down. He's one of the most memeable fighters out there with his cry face, with his
chicken commercial.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he's got a lot of things in life that he's going to have to deal with forever. But when you've made as much money as he has, and you've done things he's done, oh well.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I'm really excited about it. These guys are two legends of the sport right now. You have the greatest heavyweight champion right now in Stipe Miocic versus the double champ, one of the few double champs, and Daniel Cormier. Pretty excited. They both got a ton of knockouts on their record. Stipe's knocked out DC, JDS, Alistair Overeem, Fabricio Verdum, Andrei Arlovski, and Mark Hunt. Yeah. He has 14 total knockouts on his record. Like we said, he comes from a boxing background. He was the Cleveland Golden Glove boxing champion. He has the most successful heavyweight defenses, and he has the most strikes landed in a heavyweight fight. And that's 361 punches in one fight.
It's crazy.
He also has the most heavyweight post-fight bonuses with 9 post-fight bonuses, partially because he knocks people out.
Right.
But I'm overall super excited about this. DC, he's got a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He did win that Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix that had a ton of killers in it. Mm-hmm. That was a pretty big win for him. If DC wasn't such a nice guy to his teammates, Kane, he probably could have potentially put himself in position to be the greatest heavyweight of all time.
Could have, but I think that because he dropped down to 205, and he fought the majority of his UFC fights at 205, I don't see him being the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time.
I don't see him being the greatest UFC heavyweight. I don't see him being anywhere in the GOAT conversation at all. Yeah, I really get frustrated when people put him in that conversation.
Yeah.
The champ, yes, he is a 205-pound champ. But let's be realistic about why he's a 205-pound champ.
He would have never won it if John never got suspended.
Never. He would have never won it. So that is almost like a silver medal in the NCAA National Championship tournament, right? He lost 10 times in his career as a wrestler in the D1 tournament, or in D1. Competing in the D1s, he only lost 10 times. He lost to one guy 6 times. Cael Sanderson.
Yeah.
Cael Sanderson's a fantastic wrestler. You know, DC's just run into these situations where for some reason he's had potential goats right there at his weight class every time he's competing.
Yeah, it's a hard out right there, man.
Yeah, and so he's got this thing to him, and I guarantee you it's a mental thing to him that causes him problems because he's come up second so many times, time after time after time after time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to play effect into it this time. I don't think he's going to be in bad shape. I just think that second place curse is going to continue on with him. And I think Stipe knocks him out in round 3.
Yeah, so for me, Stipe was winning the first fight up until the eye poke, was winning the second fight even with all the eye pokes, and I think he's going to win the third fight too. But I have him knocking him out in round 2.
Round 2. All right. So, hey,